Hello, future developers, and then welcome to another tutorial ABCD. So, to continue with this, we want to create this kind of UI. Okay, so what we have to do is in our index, we have all of these. Okay, inside the class or the div, the container read. Okay, so let me format this wall. So, format with. I'm going to choose. Sorry, format with. Okay, so they are inside this. Okay, so in our main, so we have read, I call it read. Okay, so my class is read. Okay, is housing all of these containers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say dot read, okay, the curly braces. I'm going to give my read some properties. So the width, I'm going to set the width to let's use, sorry, width colon, let's use 500 pixels, and then we would use our height, give our height a property, but let's ignore this because we actually not seeing what is happening. So what I have to do is I'm going to create something called conceal. So I'm going to create a container called conceal. So div dot conceal. So this div, we are going to give this div a background color, and then we'll overlay our read on top of this, okay, using the z index. Okay, so this is going to be overlaid. So our read container is going to be over on top of our conceal div. So in our main.css, I'm going to take this out. Then let's rather do dot conceal. Okay, so whatever name you give to yours, make sure you see the spelling how I spelled it. So conceal. So conceal. And I'm going to give it a width of 500 px, a height of 450 px. Okay, so you're not going to see anything now because we've not given it a background color. Then I'll give it a background color. Let's use black. Okay. Then let's give it an opacity of let's say 0, or let's rather do 0.4. So 0.4. Okay, so you can see the transition how it's should I use faded? Okay. How translucent it is. Let's round it. So border radius. We're going to give it a border radius of, let's use 20 px. Okay, so we're rounding the corners. Okay, 20 px, and then we'll do our set our position to absolute. So position to absolute. Okay. Then we want to give it a z index. Okay, so a z index of 0. So z hyphen index of 0. Okay. So meaning if you increase the number, okay, it will show how it's going to be overlaid. So then higher the number, that's it tells you the position. So it's overlaid on top. So 1 is overlaid on 0, 2 is overlaid on 1 in that order. Okay. So we won't see anything now until we go to work on our read. Okay, our read container, which we want to overlay on top of this. So let's go to our read. So let's work on our read. So dot read, And I'm going to basically let me copy all of this. Control C, Control V, and then paste it here. Control V. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to set our Z index to 1. So let's set our Z index to 1. Okay. We'll change our position to relative. Relative. Okay, so remember, anytime you want to use the Z index, you always have to mention or write the position, okay, property to be able to use the Z index. If you look at the documentation here, okay, so you always have to, okay, so it only works with position elements, okay. So let's see what I want. So I want to take this out, the background color, okay, and I'm going to set my, okay, so we have the height 500 for, okay, opacity. You don't need an opacity. Okay, we don't need an opacity. What we need is let's see, position relative Z index is set to 1. Then let's try doing some flex. Okay, so let's do some flex in here. So flex, I'm going to do display flex, flex. Okay, display flex. And since we want them in a column form, okay, not a row form, we have to use flex direction, and then I'll set it to column. Okay, and then I'm going to do a row gap. A row gap. I want some space in between them, so a row gap of 10 px. Okay, so we have some space in between them. Okay, so now let's work on our h1 tags. Okay, so our h1 tags, we have these ones. Okay, so all the h1 tags. So let's work on the color. So h1, then I'm going to give it a color. Okay, so color white. I can use as a, okay, use it as a, and then I'll give it a font family of, let's use this one. Okay, and then a font size of 30 px. Okay, so now the reason why we use the absolute and then the relative here is just so when I tried it the first time, what happened was this overlaid on this. Okay, so it was actually getting the color, the text here, this text got the color of the background. Okay, so I avoid that, I had to use the relative position. Okay, so in the next lesson we'll work on let's see what we'll work on styling our yeah actual elements. So this and then this. Okay, so thank you, I'll see you in the next lesson.